Happy New Year, everybody. This is my first live stream of 2022, and I am so excited to see what is going on already just in this first week of the year. If you're on my mailing list or if you're in my group or you've been looking at the videos, the posts on the Good Schooling page, you know that I just launched on January 1st a brand new framework. It's called the Simplified Homeschooling Framework. And I wanted to just kind of give an overview of what exactly that is, because I have heard from so many people over this last year who all had the same issues, and much of what they were saying was jiving with everything that I had been struggling with myself over the last year. You might have seen my video, I think it's one of the last videos I did of 2021 where I talked about being radicalized. And that really came about from this incredible journey that God took me through this past year, not just with Good Schooling as a business, but even as a homeschooling mom. And God led me to this amazing idea, this incredible philosophy that is not just about homeschooling. It is about family life. It is a family-focused life, family prioritized, life-focused, faith-infused approach, not just to homeschooling, but to parenting as well. Because what do I always say? That homeschooling is just an extension of parenting, right? And we can't just compartmentalize our parenting. We don't do that. Parenting is just life. We wake up in the morning and we're still a mom, right? We're not only mom from 9 to 3. Well, when you're homeschooling, you're not just a homeschooling mom from 9 to 3 either, right? You are a homeschooler 24/7, 365, just like you're a mom or a dad 24/7, 365, right? And one of the things that I really started feeling really strongly over this last year was this idea that we have got to get away from this conventional approach to education that says, this is when we're going to learn. These are the hours that we are going to do school. We need to get away from this whole concept of doing school in the first place. We're doing life. We are training our children for the future to be adults, to be strong critical thinkers, to be well-rounded individuals who can hold their own in society and who can be contributing members of society, right? And so we don't compartmentalize our parenting and say, well, we're going to just work on being a parent during these hours, right? Same thing. We don't compartmentalize our schooling. And so the Simplified Homeschooling Framework is all about breaking down those walls between everyday life and learning and just saying, we learn during the day. That's just like when we're awake, we're learning. And that doesn't mean that you're cramming every single minute full of educational activity, okay? That's not simplified, right? That would be exhausting to have to plan out every single minute. But the framework, okay, this whole framework idea comes from the idea that I've kind of identified these 7 different, what I call pillars, 7 different pillars for the simplified homeschooling philosophy. And these 7 pillars represent kind of the 7, you might say, content areas. Kind of, don't think of them as academic subjects because that's not what it means, but 7 different areas that we are instructing our children in as parents, not just as homeschoolers, right? It wouldn't matter if your kids were in public school or not. These are the 7 areas that we teach our children in. So I thought I would go over what those are in this video and then also talk a little bit about kind of how this whole framework concept works, okay? So those 7 pillars, the first pillar I think is the most important, and that is religion. They all start with an R. I love good alliteration, and it lined up perfectly with this program. So the first one is religion. Y'all, I'm a Christian, and I don't talk about that a lot on my page. That actually is going to be changing because it was one of the things that I really struggled with last year was this feeling of not being authentic about who I am, and because I was not talking about my faith. And I'm not going to this isn't going to become Christian homeschooling, okay? But it's just I'm a Christian and I homeschool, and so therefore what I do is, Christian-based homeschooling. Religious instruction is not just about, excuse me, it's not just about here's scripture, let's memorize it, or we believe in God, okay? It is about laying a foundation for helping your children to have a biblical worldview where everything that you teach stems from those beliefs that you have. And I'll be honest, there's a lot of adults who struggle to think that way. They have compartmentalized their faith apart from everything else. And it's this thing that you do on Sundays, right? I don't think we can live that way. I don't think that's authentic. If you really believe in anything, then should it not permeate everything that you do, right? So the first pillar of the Simplified Homeschooling framework is religious instruction, in the sense that we are helping our children lay a foundation of biblical worldview. The second pillar is reasoning. And y'all, all we have to do is take a look at the headlines to know that people must not be thinking very hard these days. If those headlines are like passing muster, right? If they're saying at New York Times and Washington Post and everything, yeah, that's a good one. Let's lead with that. They don't have a lot of faith in people actually really thinking about what they're saying in their articles. So all you have to do really is occasionally take an article and say to your kids, what are they saying with this? Look at the words that they chose, right? We need to teach our children to think critically about everything that they hear and they see, because this world is bent on trying to manipulate them, and we do not want them to be manipulated, right? And so we have to teach them to think critically. And so religious instruction and critical thinking are the two main pillars of the Simplified Homeschooling framework. And there might be some people who think you can't think critically and also be religious. They don't think that those two match. I would beg to differ. If you have questions, I'd be happy to point you to some resources that can show that. But those are the first two pillars. Now, after those two pillars, we have the three pillars that kind of create the more academic, right, the school portion of this whole framework, and that is reading, writing, and arithmetic, right? The three R's. And you might think, okay, well, if those are the only like academic subjects that you're teaching, aren't you leaving out things like history and science and geography and civics and all of these other things that are also very important? And I would say, actually, no, we're not leaving those out. They're in the whole framework. You just don't see it from the pillars. When you take the actual Simplified Homeschooling framework program, when you go through it, you'll see how those are integrated into that. Your kids are going to get everything. You don't have to worry about that, right? But this simplified approach is going to make it a lot easier for you to deliver that education and for your whole family to be able to breathe and to have space and to have downtime. In fact, after those 5 pillars, right? The first 2 and then those 3 academics, we have 2 more pillars. The first one is responsibility, which is, life skills, character building, knowing how to take care of yourself, right? Be responsible. And then recreation. And you might think, I don't have to teach my kids how to be recreational. Like that's what their default is. They just want to play, right? And it is true that for younger children, the whole concept of recreation, that is kind of like their life, right? We often say little kids learn through play, right? Isn't that how, early education should really be focused on giving our children lots of time to play? But we tend, once our kids get a little older, to say, okay, well, you're done with playing and now it's time to learn, right? But here's the thing is that we were not built to work 24/7, right? We were built to live in rhythm. And that rhythm is work and play, work and rest. Rest and play can kind of be the same thing depending on what kind of play and what kind of rest you're talking about, right? But don't we as adults struggle with that so much? Like the whole concept of self-care and taking time for yourself, like it's become a thing that we talk about because so many adults don't do it. And they're so desperate to have some downtime because particularly here in the US, we are terrible at relaxing. We are terrible at living in rhythm and in having margin. And if we want our children to break that very unhealthy cycle of stress and living your day from edge to edge and not having any downtime, I don't want that for my kids. I don't want them to feel like they live on a treadmill that's constantly going, right? I want them to know how to relax, how to renew their energy, how to renew their bodies, their minds, their emotions. And we do need to kind of teach our kids how to do that. And honestly, we need to kind of teach ourselves how to do that as well. And that is where the beauty of the framework comes in, because again, this is not just about what we're teaching our kids. This is not about a framework that you use for your school hours. This is a framework for life, because this is a life integrated, life focused, life led approach, not just to education, but to living, to parenting. And so we're not only teaching our kids things like what it means to relax, right? But we're teaching that to ourselves as well. And we are making that a priority for our family. We are all going to take some downtime. We are all going to rest. We are all going to go play and play hard and have some fun and focus on the fun and not focus on, what are we learning through this experience, right? So when we look at this simplified homeschooling framework, this is not just about your homeschool hours. This is about getting rid of that concept of homeschool hours and of seeing our lives the way that I honestly feel like God wanted them to be, which is living your whole day from a specific foundation of beliefs, teaching our children to be the people that God created them to be able to function in society, to be able to be productive members of society, and to be able to take care of themselves and to help take care of others and to take care of the world, and to also learn the things that they need to learn in order to be able to learn about anything, to be able to go out and get whatever information they need, whatever skills they need, whatever they need to learn to get a particular job or just because they are interested in it, right? We are equipping them with the toolbox that they need to live, with all the tools that they need in that toolbox. That is what the simplified homeschooling framework is all about. And with this week being the launch week, I've got a $10 discount running on that right now. It is only $37. If you're like, well, we're not quite ready to start our homeschooling yet. We're going to start maybe in a year, or we're going to start, next fall. This is the time to grab it then, because you want to be able to get this concept kind of under your belt. And for those of you particularly who are maybe not real far into your deschooling journey, you're going to want to take some time to deschool too, because I can almost guarantee that this philosophy, even though you're going to watch the videos and you're going to love it, there's going to be part of you that's like, does this really count? Like, is this really enough? If you've not deschooled yourself enough, you're going to be asking yourself those questions. Those of you who've been homeschooling for a while and you're burned out, you're exhausted, you are sick and tired of screwing around with curriculum and with trying to find that unicorn of a perfect program that your kids are all actually going to enjoy and that everyone's going to want to do and that does not break the bank, okay? You're so tired of that. And I think the reason you're tired of it is because that's not what learning is supposed to be about. It's not what homeschooling is supposed to be about. So check out the Simplified Homeschooling Framework. I'll put the link in the description. Like I said, it's only $37 through Friday. After Friday, the price is going to go up to $47. So grab it now. Even if you're not 100% ready to dive in, at least you have it, right? And then the best part, once you get through the first module, and there's only 2 modules, it's not a big program. The first module is going to lay the foundation for you. It's going to go deeper into all 7 of those pillars. It's going to talk about the connection between parenting and the simplified homeschooling framework. And once you get through those first 4 videos, then you'll know if this approach is for you or not. And that's when you're also going to get an email inviting you to come join us in the Simplified Homeschooling community. And that is the community that we've created of people who are all taking this simplified homeschooling journey together. And we're all going to walk through, what does this look like on a daily basis? How exactly are we going to do this? How are we going to make the transition from whatever it is that we've been doing into this? And how do I teach the things that my state requires me to teach? And I think this resource, I've got an idea for a resource. I think it would really help me, Allison. Great. You tell me that. I'm going to help make that happen for you. So you'll get that invitation to join the community after you've gone through those first 4 videos and have had the opportunity to decide if the simplified homeschooling framework and philosophy is right for your family. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. I want you to have all the information that you need to make this decision. If you're not yet on my mailing list, you might want to get on that, because every day I'm sharing information about what the framework and the membership both entail, what they're like, what they're about, what you're going to get for your $37, all that fun stuff. But feel free to leave comments on this post if you want. Feel free to private message me. Feel free, if you are on my mailing list, just hit reply and you can ask me anything you want. And I would love to help you decide if the simplified homeschooling framework is for you. But if you have been looking for something that is going to help you with the overwhelm, is going to help you with the exhaustion, if you're looking at 2022 and you're thinking, I cannot have another 2021, I cannot do that again, I'm so burned out, my kids are so burned out, I think this is what you're going to want. You're going to love how the simplified homeschooling framework breaks it down, makes it easy, and takes so much of that pressure off your shoulders. All right, let me know what questions you have. I will talk to you again soon. Take care, y'all. Bye.